Today I'm joined by a Westborough Board of Selectmen candidate, Patrick Welch. Thank you for your time today, Patrick.
I appreciate you reaching out and doing this interview with me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. So to start, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am a longtime Westborough resident. I've lived here for just about 38 years now. I was a graduate of Westborough High School in 1987. My wife was a graduate in 1989, and all three of my children are graduates of Westborough High School, having been actually fifth generation graduates of Westborough High. So we've been a long time members of the community. Over the years, I've worked for a number of different companies in the area. I worked for several small businesses, and then in about 1999, I went to work for EMC, now Dell EMC, and I've been there for the past 22 years. In my business experience, I have managed international teams across 3 continents of program managers. So I do a lot of work with teams in China, APJ, meaning the whole Asia Pacific Rim, as well as in Europe, in Ireland and in mainland Europe. And those programs that I work on were highly technical programs that were worth millions of dollars and were, highly complex programs. Above and beyond that, as a kid, I lived around the world. I was an Army brat, so my dad was a career Army veteran and lived in several different places in Japan, Korea, and around the United States as a child. So I know what it's like to live in other areas of the world. And when I moved to Westborough, it was a real eye opener coming to this town in New England. But that's pretty much my story in a quick 1 minute.
Yeah, that's a very exciting and diverse background. So basically, why are you running to be on the Board of Selectmen?
Sure. I've been an avid town meeting member and resident attending town meeting for a number of years now, and really found it interesting about the subjects and topics that were being discussed, and really felt that it was important as being a member of the community to not only talk about the topics, but also get involved with those topics. The way that town meeting works is very similar to our national and even our state legislature government, in that the Board of Selectmen is really the executive branch of the town. And then you have the community, the residents are actually the legislature. We decide as a community what things we want to do for the town. And I wanted to get more involved on kind of that upfront learning and recommendations and discovery of new ideas and information, so that I could bring that back to the town community so that they could have some intelligent information to go about and actually make some decisions on.
Yeah. So, a big reason we're doing this is because I know a lot of the student body isn't really all that exposed to town politics, the different committees and what's going on behind the scenes. So you kind of started to touch on it, but could you give us a rundown of what the Board of Selectmen is and what you think the responsibilities of a Board of Selectmen member are?
Oh, sure. So again, the board is the executive branch. We are a 5-member board of volunteer board members. So we are community members just like everybody else. And what's really important for the Board of Selectmen to do is to work and collaborate together. We may have our differences on certain topics, but we should all be looking at the data and doing the homework on those topics and having the hard discussions to make good decisions for the community. And once we've made that decision, we need to move forward as one executive body to implement the plan, to execute and deliver on that plan. And that's really the most important thing, is really driving the strategic plans and the services of the community. So there you go.
Yeah. So what experiences and skills do you have that you think will make you a great Board of Selectmen member?
Sure. I am, again, a longtime resident of Westborough, so I have a historic perspective. I can remember this town when there was a small movie theater down near where Staples is right now. The Westborough Flick, had about 40 seats in each theater, and there were only 2 theaters in it, and that was kind of the local movie theater. So this town has changed a lot over the years, and one of the things that I think that I'll bring is the skill of understanding how we need to innovate as a community, but also protect our community and make sure that it remains the vibrant way, the vibrant Westborough that we all love and have lived in. And then as far as other skills, my business background, I'm also, again, a parent of children who've gone through the school. I have a number of family members who have businesses in town, small and large businesses in town that have been here for over 100 years. I have, background with just various different topics. I am also a very politically motivated individual. I love all levels of politics and getting involved and discussing, again, the hard topics that we have to talk about as a town.
Yeah, I like what you said there, to bring new innovative things to the community while also protecting, what makes Westborough Westborough.
Yeah, we need to preserve the community. There's some great things that are here today that we want to keep for tomorrow, right? We want the kids of the future to still have those same things.
Yeah, totally agree. So if elected, what are some key issues that you'd like to tackle during this next year?
Well, I think the biggest thing that's on my mind, and really the primary reason why it got me to say, hey, Patrick, it's time to get involved. And really, there's no good time for a pandemic. But for me, my wife and I are virtually empty nesters now. Our youngest is a junior out at UMass. You might know her. She's out at UMass. And so I have the time to give back to the community in a meaningful way. The Board of Selectmen is a very time-intensive position. And the topic that I'm really keen on is really how we come out of COVID. COVID, we know, listening to the experts that are out there today, COVID is going to be endemic. We're going to be dealing with this for years to come. We are only, I think, seeing the tip of the iceberg in regards to impacts to our community. As we get healthier coming out of it, there's going to be other issues, whether it's mental health issues, physical issues, financial issues, things like that, that we need to deal with across the community. I've spoken to people a lot about kind of my 4 pillars of what I think we need to do as a community. My first pillar is to ensure the safety of the community through supporting our officials as they roll out the vaccines and making sure that we, hopefully all, will support getting vaccines. That's super important. The second pillar of my thoughts on this are around supporting the residents that are struggling financially and emotionally. There's a fairly sizable population in Westborough that are really struggling with job loss and all the emotions that you can imagine about not being able to provide for your family. That's hitting people quite hard. Thirdly, it's getting kids back to school. So this really hits, I think, home with your generation, is getting you guys back with your friends, getting you back with the activities that really makes the school life so vibrant and wonderful at your age. And then fourthly, supporting the businesses. I think that this is an area where we've really only begun perhaps to see the tip of the iceberg, in that our businesses are struggling. I know that the current Board of Selectmen has done a great job trying to make sure that the businesses in town are able to get what they need, whether it be special permits or whatever they need. They've tried to help them out with. We need to continue to do that. We need to help companies be innovative on how they continue to do their business in town, so that they're not closing their door. The business community is a large percentage of the town's tax revenues, which pays for schools, which pays for the DPW to plow your roads, all of those types of things. So we just really need to help them out. And those are kind of the big things that I am talking to folks about.
Yeah. So I know a lot of people aren't aware of what's been, because a lot of decisions have been happening behind the scenes, regarding school, especially during school and a pandemic. So what exactly has been happening behind the scenes there? And how do you see the town's response? Have you been happy with what's happening? Do you have any improvements that you think could have happened?
Well, there's really no easy answer to this. It's just such a difficult period of time, and it affects everybody so uniquely, and in so many different ways. I've been talking to a number of community members and residents about how it's affecting them recently, and it's really, unfortunately, sad what's happened. We hit, I think, just over 60 deaths in the community recently, which is just really just sad. I have a few friends who've lost parents in the community, and that's affected them. I know that there are young families whose children who might have special needs and whatnot are struggling in this time. So it affects everybody differently. I think, behind the scenes, I'm not a board member yet. So I can only see what's happening from the open meetings, but I have had a conversation with a number of the different department heads and various different leaders of the community to better understand what they've been doing and what they've been dealing with. And I will tell you that I think that they're doing the best work they can to bring our community out of this as strong as possible. It may not be the best in everybody's minds, but I think that they've really been doing a really great job in trying to get kids back in school, trying to get the services that are needed for the elderly. One of the things that just happened recently was the governor just reversed a decision or changed his mind on the rollout of vaccines. The town had a plan in place to help our seniors who are shut-ins, can't go to these vaccine locations, get the vaccines. So that's all been wiped out now, and that's really disheartening. So we were doing a lot of great things, and I hope that if I'm elected, I can continue to support these innovative ideas of how we get out of COVID.
Yeah. I know, like, with this being such an ever-changing situation, it's kind of hard to see into the future. But do you have any like specific plans that you'd like, if elected, that you'd like to roll out with and push through for a response?
Well, I think that one of the areas, if this was a normal times, put COVID aside for a minute, because that's going to eat up, I think, a lot of our time. Is that's got to be a piece of everything we talk about. We have to have that in the back of our mind.
Yeah.
I think, put that aside. If I were to say, what am I going to do? What are the ideas I have for the town? There are a lot of great opportunities. There's a number of different buildings and land available to the town today that could be used for some really terrific purposes. We've got the Harvey building over in the center of town there that, there might be some really good uses for it. It used to be the old superintendent building when I was in school. We've got the Hockomock Pond area over on Otis Street there, which has a building that's available, that's just become available to us. Maybe there's some good ideas for some passive or maybe even active recreation on that site in conjunction with Amazon. There are, all sorts of activities that I'd like to get involved with, directly and indirectly in regards to supporting our local community organizations and groups. I've been having a lot of conversations with the Civic Club and the Lions Club, and sat in on a library trustees meeting last night. These are all fantastic organizations and boards in our community that I hope I can, in one way or another, support with some of the great stuff that they're doing.
Yeah. So with this being like your first year running for office, like you mentioned, are there any like not like business minded, but any like projects or plans that you'd love to push out for the town? Like maybe if it's for leisure or like any like fun projects.
I heard a great idea the other day. I can't take full credit for this. If this person's watching this at some point, he'll know who I'm talking about. But there was I thought it was a really interesting idea. I haven't thought it all the way through yet, but it's, could we put a town ice skating rink down in the center of town area during the winter? People are looking to get outside, and that's going to continue with COVID. We need outside activities, especially in the winter time. Could we put an outdoor skating rink down there that the community could use? I don't know. Maybe that's a good idea. Maybe it's not. Let's talk about it. There's the WRTA VIA program. I hope that's successful in Westborough, and I'm going to do everything I can to support that, because that really will help people in our community who may not be able to drive for one reason or another, and they need to get to work. Or they have an elderly family member that needs to get to a doctor's appointment. We need that program to survive, and I'm really happy that the current board put that in place. So there's just some ideas of where I hope to get involved and hope to help out.
Yeah, that's awesome, because I think with this pandemic, maybe like, I guess maybe it hasn't like been talked about much, but it's like mental health of our town residents. So I think that the town really needs to come together as a community, and if safely, possibly have like.
That's a topic actually near and dear to me. My wife, for full disclosure here, she works for the Department of Youth and Family Services, and she's on the Youth Commission. And that's a really important group, and that's a really important part of our town, especially coming out of COVID. The Youth and Family Services Department works with all the various departments, from the school to the police and the fire departments. And coming out of COVID, it's not just the kids only. I mean, you guys are having struggles. There are kids in town who are having struggles, and we need to provide them the resources that they need to get beyond those struggles so that they can be proactive, or excuse me, they can be active in our community and contributors to our community for the long run. So, you know, that is, mental health issue is a real key one for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, speaking more on like high school students, how can high school students get more active and involved in local politics?
Well, I think what you're doing tonight is a great step in that direction. I would support the students. I think it's important that all students get some civic training. You know, if there's civics classes at the high school, I encourage them, all of you, to take a civics class. It'll teach you a lot about how to interact with your fellow man and how to interact with town governments and governments of all levels, how to interact with businesses and whatnot in all varieties. So that's really important. The other thing is, I would say, stay active in current events. Read your local newspaper. You know, if you know, newspapers are, you know, they're not as fun as online, but, you know, okay, read it online. Read your newspaper, read your online, learn about what's going on in the community. Even if it's something as simple as the police log, you know, just be aware of what's going on, because then you're going to see how the community deals with these problems that we're faced with. And that will really lead to a better future for you all, because you guys are going to be shaping the town for years to come.
Yeah. And just for any viewers out there, I know the Westborough TV has been doing a great job, you know, broadcasting different town meetings, committee meetings. So I think it would just be great for especially the younger demographics to just like maybe pop in for a bit, see what's happening.
Yeah. Talk to us. I mean, my door is, I always tell people my emails are always available. Send me an email, ask me a question. You know, I'll try to pick up the phone and call you and talk to you. I'm really excited about the opportunity to run for Board of Selectmen and you know, work with the entire community, even the student body. Yeah.
So is there any like lasting thoughts or final message you want to send out to Westborough High School students?
Hey, way to go, Rangers. Love you guys. You know, big supporter of the schools, big supporter of all the things you guys are doing in the schools. I encourage you, certainly if you're 18 or older, get out there and vote. It's a really important civic duty. No matter who you vote for, it's a great experience. Don't be afraid of it. I look forward to seeing you out in the community. Masks on or off someday, but I look forward to seeing and hearing from you all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time and best of luck during the election.
All right, thank you, Soham. Take care.
Yeah,
great to talk to you.